Hello everyone, welcome to the Joking Dolphin Gaming Podcast. I'm Mark, and as always I'm joined by Matthew.
Hello.
And Nathan.
Hey up.
How are you, lads?
Yeah. Doing good.
It's not as cold.
Yeah, all recovered. So, yeah,
Right.
raring to go.
He was doing a lot of drinking, folks, so he wasn't just ill.
There wasn't that much drinking.
Well, we don't know, do we?
Until we got to the shot segment.
You can tell us that.
Then it got a bit messy at that point.
No, that's not much drunk, is it?
No.
Anyway.
For now.
News. Okay, so we're going to have to return to our old friends again. Yet again, CD Projekt Red.
Oh, no.
So, on the last episode, I mentioned they released some modding tools for Cyberpunk for all the hopes for the players, and then there was this thing where apparently there was the ability to hack into people's PCs by going through the modding facilities.
Yeah.
And I mentioned on that podcast that there was a chance that if this hadn't been discovered, CD Projekt Red's own servers could be hacked through this. But then, thought, this was all fixed. Thought, great. And then, on the very day that pod dropped, it turns out they did get hacked by a company called, what was it called? Hello Kitty, I think they were called.
Okay. Not the Japanese cat?
No,
apparently not. So, I quote myself of the last episode, the last thing they need is something like Capcom. Well, it's happened. It's not getting any better for them, is it? So, they released a statement. Actually, they posted what the hacking group sent to them. Have you read this?
I read it, yeah.
It's basically a text document that the hacking group wrote.
Yeah.
This is what it says. Hello, CD Projekt. Capitals and lots of exclamation marks. You have been epically pawned. That's exactly how it's written. Your.
Good English there.
We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you most likely recover these with backups. It's very honest of them. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the even more, and people will see how your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
There's an episode of CSI or something.
In terms of like the gaming source code leaks, that's not nearly as bad as the accounting and HR information if that was to get out.
Yeah. Well, CD Projekt, they put out a statement. Yesterday we discovered that we have become a victim of a targeted cyber attack, due to which some of our internal systems have been compromised. An unidentified actor gained unauthorized access to our internal network, collected certain data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group, and left a ransom note, the content of which we released to the public. Although some devices in our network have been encrypted, our backups remain intact. We have already secured our IT infrastructure and begun storing the data. We will not give in to the demands nor negotiate with the actor, being aware that this may eventually lead to the release of the compromised data. We are taking necessary steps to mitigate the consequences of such a release, in particular by approaching any parties that may be affected due to the breach. We are still investigating the incident. However, at this time, we can confirm that, to our best knowledge, the compromised systems did not contain any personal data of our players or users of our services. We have already approached the relevant authorities, including law enforcement and the President of the Personal Data Protection Office, as well as IT forensic specialists, and we will closely cooperate with them in order to fully investigate this incident. Well, it's can it go? Can much else go wrong for CD Projekt? I mean,
well, I think in terms of mitigating what's happened, they've done about as much as they possibly could do.
I'm glad they didn't give it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I was going to go on to say. It's good that they've not caved into this. But yeah, it seems like just bad thing after bad thing for CD Projekt Red at the minute. And it just doesn't seem to be getting any better for him.
I mean, to me, this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's all been very funny and all that, laughing at CD Projekt and all that for all the mishaps in Cyberpunk. But I think this is a step too far, man. It's just I can't laugh at this. To be quite honest, I think it's too much.
I mean, you can at least laugh at the message that they left.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the bad spelling. But...
You have been epically born.
Are you doing okay, Mark? I had a couple of coughs in the middle of that statement. Just want to check it's not COVID or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great, mate. It's great.
All right.
Well, I'm actually starting to feel sorry for them, which I never thought I would. Or is that just me?
I mean, no, you can sympathise with them, can't you? Like just everything that's happened.
But the thing about this though is it's the developers' work that's been stolen. It's the actual developers. That's who it's affecting. All the other stuff is about management, making bad decisions and that kind of stuff. But this is just stealing all their people's hard work and just throwing it around. It's not good.
I mean, if the source code does get leaked, maybe somebody will actually fix the game.
Well, it's already been leaked.
How? Well, it'd been auctioned off, hadn't it? I read somewhere in the dark deeps of the web, it went for some like $7 million or something like that.
So an underground digital market. Well, I think the starting price was $1 million, and then they said if they were offered $7 million, they'd sell it immediately.
I'd want more. I mean, it's source code for a developer. I'd be wanting a hell of a lot more than $7 million, but maybe that's just my greedy side of it. I mean, I don't think the hack was as worse as Capcom, but it's for at least the company's reputation is certainly a lot worse.
Yeah, because it was their patch that opened the door to it. So,
well, do we know how they actually got their hands on the data? Like, was it through that specific mod, or do you think it might have been?
They say it's not been mentioned how. We don't know.
Not mentioned how.
I don't think they'll ever say if it was.
No, well, they won't, will it? Because otherwise, then other silly people will try it.
What else could possibly happen to CD Projekt now?
The headquarters sets on fire.
The only thing I can think of.
Rogue agent goes into the headquarters and starts shooting up the place. It's probably about as worse as it's going to get.
It's just.
Please don't do that.
I mean, it'd be a real shame if they actually liquidated. That's the worst case scenario. Like with all the bad press, them having to refund all this money, they might not have a game studio at the end of the day. Because the only thing that I took from that they're currently working on, bar the Cyberpunk stuff, is a new release for The Witcher. And you'd think they'd probably have more stuff in the pipeline, but it doesn't seem like they have. So where's the money going to come from?
Yeah. It's actually interesting, the unreleased version of The Witcher 3. I wonder what they actually meant by that. Like, is that a next-gen upgrade, or was it a version of The Witcher 3 that they ended up scrapping?
Did they already announce that it was going to be an upgrade for Witcher? I thought they had.
They might have done.
Because I think that was the reason why I was saving playing it. Because I thought it had already been announced.
I'm not sure.
What else could it possibly go on?
The Switch Pro that's not been announced yet. Smart fridge.
Smart fridge. The Xbox.
Or is it going to be like GTA 5 and just continue through all the platforms?
Yeah. Backwards compatible to the Sega Mega Drive.
Right, should we move on? Give me some news. Give me some more news. Go on.
Well, I mean, to stay a little bit on topic, since you mentioned GTA 5, apparently during an investor call, Take-Two had revealed that they sold over 140 million copies of GTA 5 since it was launched back in 2013, which is just a few. What they also mentioned, which I was actually quite surprised about, is that in 2020 they sold more copies of GTA 5 than the initial launch year in 2013.
Wow.
So clearly GTA 5 is still massively popular and will never die.
That's it. We're never going to get GTA 6. GTA 5 is just going to keep marching on.
Very much, yeah. But I think what I read as well is that they've stopped selling GTA 5 separately. They come with bundles now. So with like the shark cards you can use on GTA Online. Apparently that's the only way you can buy GTA 5 now, is at least with some sort of shark card.
Oh, God.
So they're always going to push that online version rather than the single player.
Pretty much.
Only buy it with a shark card. Is that what gaming's become with that?
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to know how many of those copies are actually just one person bought like multiple copies, because I bought it at least 3 times now.
I've had
part of the problem.
Well, I mean, I did what? I've had it on Xbox 360, and then I read it to PS4. Then I got it on Xbox One, and then I also have it on PC.
I think I've had about 5 different iterations of it. So I'm also part of the problem. So I've got it. I had it for the PS3. That was the first system I played it on. Xbox 360, Xbox One, and then I've got it twice for PS4. So
PS4.
Yeah. I guess I've got it 3 times. PS3, PS4, then I bought it digitally on PS4. So we're all terrible. We are all terrible.
That's it.
Pretty much.
But I did buy a shark card with it.
That's a victory there.
Yeah. Small victories. Take them while you can.
I think I bought a bundle, but when it was on sale. So I'm not too bad.
Yeah, at least you didn't pay full price. So that's good.
Have you heard about the Terraria dev who's in a fight with Google at the moment?
No?
I've heard about it. I've not read into it much.
So basically, a guy called Andrew Spinks at Logic. This is the developer of Terraria, and he's put out a series of tweets to Google saying, I'll just go to the tweets. He says, "At Google, my account has been disabled for over 3 weeks. I still have no idea why, and after using every resource I have had to get this resolved, you have done nothing but give me the runaround. My phone has lost access to thousands of dollars of apps on Google Play. I just bought Lord of the Rings 4K and can't finish it. My Google Drive data is completely gone. I can't access my YouTube channel. The worst of all is losing access to my Gmail address of over 15 years. I absolutely have not done anything to violate your terms of service, so I can take this no other way than you deciding to burn this bridge. Consider it burned. Terraria for Google Stadia is cancelled. My company will no longer support any of your platforms moving forward. I will not be involved with a corporation that values their customers and partners so little. Doing business with you is a liability." Now, off the back of the Google Stadia news from the last episode, it's probably not something they need at the moment, is it?
Oh, definitely not. No, losing developers in games. A game as good as Terraria as well. It's a great little platformer. Yeah, it just seems like another nail in the coffin for Stadia.
You'd think they'd be bending over backwards to try and solve this, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
To
definitely.
try and keep someone on side.
Seems strange that like all of his stuff have been disabled, and yet there's been no word as to why from Google. Like,
Yeah, they've not explained what the
like if
situation is.
if he's done something, then let him know what he's done and try and resolve it. Don't just blank
Cut him off. Yeah, that's it.
You're blanking a source of revenue that Terraria is absolutely popular. The 2D, it's like a 2D Minecraft kind of clone, but there's so much to it. It's a brilliant little game, but yeah, that's just weird. That's just a weird thing to happen.
Because you'd think that Google will have communicated if he has done something wrong, what he's done wrong, so he understands what's happened.
Plus, he must have contacts with Google.
Yeah.
There's like none of us open him out.
Because he works with them in a professional capacity, so you'd think there'd be somebody could contact and find out what's going on.
Well, Terraria is already on the Google Play Store, so you can already get it on like your Android and whatnot. So
yeah, apparently that's not going to be affected, but it's just not going to Stadia.
Well, it's not going to be updated either by sounds of it. Can't get access to his stuff.
Google being Google yet again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very random.
Right. I've got a little bit of news. So, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is already one of the best-selling games in the US of all time. So it's slid into the top 20 best-selling games in US history. Is it warranted, do we think? Would we call it?
So I don't know.
That was more for Matt. What do you
suppose
think?
I'm the only who could give
Is it one of the top 20 games of all time, do you think?
Of all time?
Yep.
Of all time.
I don't know about all time. But I mean, this is the US. They do like their shooty, pow games. I mean, if I have to try and put it as like, how do I compare it to Call of Duty's? I think it's pretty good. Campaign's got a solid story, multiplayer. I know that there's a lot of argument over the skill-based matchmaking that seems to have slipped into recent Call of Duties nowadays. A lot of pros who just want to have a relaxing game of Call of Duty can't because they're playing a game of what they would say is sweats. So there's a bit of a negativity around the multiplayer, but I mean, zombies has always been excellent for me, pretty much for most Call of Duty. So, I can see how it's got there. I'd like to see how it compares to, I imagine, about 10 other Call of Duties that's in that list. Do we have a list of what's actually what games are in the top 20 for best selling in the US?
I've not got it in front of me now.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
That'll pretty much be it.
That will probably...
And there'll be a couple of Madden games in there as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I imagine Minecraft's probably number one because it is the best-selling game in history. Then it's sold over 200 million copies.
Well, give it another 10 years and GTA 5 might be...
GTA 5 is probably second, so... Interesting. Just to slightly segue into a bit of news that I have, Call of Duty. So, for Black Ops Cold War and Warzone, Activision and Treyarch have shown off a couple of trailers for what's coming in Season 2, which might be a bit confusing for Warzone, because I think Warzone's already had about 5 or 6 seasons itself with Modern Warfare, but then with Cold War coming out, it's like resetting itself. So now we've gone back to Season 2. So there's quite a few new things. So there's going to be 4 new operators, which are essentially the characters that you can select to play as, depending on which side you're on. Because there's always 2 sides that fight against each other. I think it's like NATO and the Russian one. Whose name that is slipping from my mind. It's like Warschnecht or something. I'm sure it's not that, but so 4 new operators, 2 for 2 to each side. There's going to be 6 new weapons. So there's the Faro A6 assault rifle, LC-10 SMG, machete, which I know Nathan would probably love to use if we ever got Cold War.
Oh yeah.
The E-tool trifold shovel, which I think is something in World War II.
Yeah, I hate the shovel.
Sounds like a weapon that was in World War II. The R1 Shadowhunter crossbow and the ZRG 20mm sniper rifle. So quite a bit of new guns that are coming to Season 2. There's going to be 4 new maps. There's one that's called Apocalypse, that's for 6v6 game modes. There is one that's called Golova, which is going to be a fireteam map. So fighting, for people who don't play Cold War, is it's almost like a mini war zone. Like there's about I think there's about like 10 teams of 4 players that essentially try and arm these bombs that are around the map. But it's quite a fairly sized map. It's pretty big. So that's quite fun. The one that's called Mansion, which is for 2v2 and 3v3, and then a strike version of the Miami map. So basically just a smaller, condensed version of that for 6v6 as well. 2 new game modes. So one that's called Gun Game. So if you've ever played Gun Game, you essentially, everyone starts off with a pistol. You get a kill, you upgrade to the next weapon, you carry on until I think you end up on like a knife where you have to get like last kill with a knife and then you win basically. And then another one is called Stockpile, which is like I think you kill an enemy, you pick up certain items, and then you have to go to a zone to collect those items. So a bit like Kill Confirmed plus Hardpoint, if you can try and imagine those 2 game modes together. A new score streak, which is the Death Machine minigun, which used to be it used to be in the original Black Ops, I think. It used to be a collectible in the Zombies game mode as well, which I think is coming to as well. 4 new prestige levels. So at the moment we're on, you can only go up to like 7, and then but you still keep on leveling up. But you just go up to like about 1,000 or something. But now they'll end up adding more prestiges. I think the most prestiges you're going to get in Cold War is 13, which is insane. For me personally, the best bit of news that was from Season 2 is Zombies is going to have a new game mode called Outbreak, which how they've described it is basically Zombies but on like a fire team map, but like quite a few stitched together. So you can run this like massive kind of open world map where you'll be doing all sorts of objectives while shooting down zombies, basically. It's going to be 4-player co-op, so it's not any PvP or anything. You drive vehicles in it as well, which was a first for Zombies. It looks insane, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. So, because I love my zombies. And then one thing for Warzone is they're going to have a new, what they call point of interest of this cargo ship that's coming into the south side of the map. Apparently it's going to crash into the port at some point, but it's got things on the ship that are contaminated and could escape. So whether that means Zombies comes to Warzone, or if, like someone said, what they could do is whatever this like substance is comes out, and any like players that have died in Warzone could get affected and turn into zombies. Could be an interesting way of doing it. I'm not sure.
So just a massive game of infected. Is that what we're saying?
Oh, sorry.
A massive game of infected. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Battle Royale infected.
It could be like that. Yeah, could be quite interesting actually to do that. But also, I think there's quite a few nuke silos that are potentially becoming active. So a lot of people have been trying to work out that Activision are going to introduce a new Battle Royale map to Warzone on its first anniversary, which I'm not sure when that actual anniversary is. I think it's sometime in March, so could be interesting. Could see what they do. I mean, Warzone's still massively popular, probably second only behind Fortnite. So anything that they do to keep it fresh and going is always a win-win for players. So yeah, that's all I got from Season 2 of Cold War.
Well, to round off on the Call of Duty chat, there's been a potential insight into what the next one might be.
Call of Duty 2021.
Well, that's not what it's going to be called. We don't think.
Well, no.
But you never know.
Working title.
That surprises us. But a guy called Victor Z, or Victor Z, if you're British, he's put out a tweet. Apparently, he's had good, he's leaked things in the past that apparently been very accurate.
He's a reliable leaker, basically.
Yes, and so he put out an image of emoji of a hammer, so this is sledgehammer, and a picture of World War II from the last one. And he's insinuating that the next one will be going back to World War II, which for me I'm quite happy about. I love that.
Okay, so a sequel to World War II.
So, well, potentially they're thinking that this one might be set in the Pacific campaign, so involving Japan. That kind of thing.
That could be interesting.
So that's going back to the days of Medal of Honor: Rising Sun. Do you remember when Medal of Honor used to be the premium first-person shooter, and then everyone just forgot about it?
Yeah, it seems like dying like 2003 for me, anyway.
Yeah, they just kind of over that because before that, I never paid any attention to Call of Duty, and so they just went.
It flipped over.
Then it never flipped back again.
I think Allied Assault was my favorite because there was two levels that I always enjoyed. The beginning one where it was the assault on Normandy Beach, which I think Medal of Honor did really well. And there was one where you disguise yourself as like a German soldier going through, I think it was like a train station or something, having to pick up like documents and whatnot. And I was like, this is cool. This is different. I don't have to just go all out, shooty, kill the Nazis.
Normandy Beachland was, I think it stuck in a lot of people's minds because it was around the time when, what's it called? The film. Saving Private Ryan came out.
What was
that time? Yeah. So I think everyone was like feeling like they were recreating that. I mean, if that's true, go back to World War II in the Pacific, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how they do it because, you've got the US versus Japan, but will they also incorporate Japan invading the Chinese mainland and have a little side thing there potentially? So, but it depends when it starts. But I think it could be quite interesting.
Pearl Harbor, would that be in it? Maybe.
I would like a Call of Duty game where you actually play as like the opposite.
The bad guys
team. Yeah, just to get like, what was it like for them? Do you know what I mean?
You're thinking of those Clint Eastwood films, aren't you? He did Letters from Iwo Jima, and I can't remember what the other one was called. He made two films, and he did one that was from the American side, and one was from the Japanese side.
I'm going to say no because I've not seen them.
Well, that's always.
Well, yeah, I've always kind of wanted that kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like, or even just playing as just sort of like a regular Nazi soldier. What was it like for him? Kind of, did he, what was his beliefs during having to fight for Hitler's Nazis? Do you know
I mean, the history books paint it as being black and white, but it could be more of a grey situation, and it probably was. Like with your everyday soldier not really knowing 100% what they were fighting for, or they might have got a version of the truth that wasn't quite right. So yeah, I agree. I think that'd be really interesting to see the other side of it, rather than you just being the hero, kicking doors down, taking names, and getting it from the American point of view.
Yeah. Just to go back, Flags of Our Fathers was the American one, and Letters from Iwo Jima was the Japanese one. Well, Letters from Iwo Jima was a good film. Flags of Our Fathers, not so much. But anyway, yeah, if they turn that into some sort of game thing, I'll be down for that. Yeah. Anyway, I think we've talked about Call of Duty quite good enough. Anything else?
Yeah, so Microsoft recently announced its first event for 2021. So this is going to be running from the 23rd to the 24th of Feb. So in a few days' time. So it's going to start at 8:30 a.m. UTC time. And basically, it's all around AI and how it's incorporated into gaming. So it's more of like a developer showcase. So Phil Spencer's going to be heading it up. And they're basically going to be headlining the technology that goes into basically what AI goes into games and how you can use that AI. So I think it'd be good to watch. I mean, it is going to be literally 2 solid days of presentations. but it's like more understanding what the future of Xbox is going to be and how they're going to work AI into the games that they're going to be bringing out in the future. So I think it could be quite interesting to see what comes of it.
Or it could be a really boring technical talk.
Yeah, could be. But I love boring technical talks, so we'll see.
Enough. At least there's an audience of one at least. Speaking of conferences, E3. So the Entertainment Software Association has confirmed that the event will return this year, following last year's cancellation. But it will be a digital event, potentially running from the 15th to the 17th of June. But they've not ruled out a physical event.
Well, you've got to think that at this stage it might be a bit too soon for a physical event, but it's nice that they're not totally ruling that out. But I think I don't mind all the virtual stuff. I think it's okay. It works.
The thing is, when you think about it, it's just like to all of us anyway. It's always a digital event anyway. So,
yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's nothing much change for us. So.
Yeah. And don't they have just like special days for just journalists or something like that? It's only recently where they've allowed publicans, isn't it? In the last few years, I
think. There's a bit of both. So like when E3 was first launched, it was I believe it was like a public event. So like you got the first few days of the conferences. So the big I suppose publishers will have their conferences. They're pretty much for journalists.
Yeah.
And then the kind of few days afterwards, it's open to the public, and it's more of like a demo show floor in effect. Like when the public they're going to play the demos of the games that have just been shown off or whatnot. I don't know whether the conferences were ever open to the public. I'd have to look through the history, but there was like a few periods where the conferences were just strictly game journalists, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I have to wonder, kind of seeing how kind of last year went, do we have a need for E3 still?
This is what I mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, developers already did their own virtual stuff and were pretty good at it. There's Sony, case in point.
Is E3 becoming irrelevant now? I hope not.
I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Like, it's an exciting couple of days where
gamers,
everyone gets together and shows us what they've got coming, like in the coming years and stuff. And it's just, for lack of a better word, just a really hype time.
Yeah, it's just like the time for gamers, isn't it? It's just it's just happy around that period.
My only argument for that would be that like sometimes some games that are shown off at E3 are clearly not ready to show off yet. Like,
things get shown years in advance.
I mean, I think EA is quite famous for this, but I remember the one where they were showing off. I think it was Battlefront or Star Wars Battlefront 2, one of them, where it was just like a tech video of like, this is the tech we use to recreate everything that's in Star Wars in our game, and it was literally like there was no gameplay and there was no like promotional video for it. And I was just like, we didn't need to see this yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't really get me hyped for Battlefront at that point. I was just like, I'd rather see gameplay or just give me
trailer
something
or something.
Yeah.
Like,
But sometimes even promotional trailers can be a bit like, you're not really giving me any idea of what this game is. Like, can you do better at that?
Yeah. Well, it's because it's not the game, is it? Like, a trailer doesn't tell you much because it's not gameplay footage or
teasers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So here, see this thing from 4 years in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to play it anytime soon.
Case in point, Cyberpunk.
Look at it. See this thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Cyberpunk was first shown off at E3?
I remember that very first trailer with that woman with the weird claw things, and she was just kneeling down the floor with rain, and somebody shot a bullet or something.
I think police are like surrounding her or something like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, cool, but what is this game?
And that would go on to be the greatest game of all time.
Watch this space. Give it a year. We'll see.
You never know. You never know. I'll pull it back.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I think it is nice each of the developers having their own little shows like throughout the year. I really enjoyed the PlayStation one in particular.
I like having that one time where everyone's just excited about to see what's happening. Whereas when you just spread each individual thing around, it's not much of a sell. I mean, I guess you don't get the feeling, because obviously because of COVID, people aren't gathering together, so I'm guessing that's taken away some of the excitement. Because you've not got the whooping and the hollering in the audience.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, I don't know. I kind of miss it. I hope it doesn't go away. But I can understand why people pull out and do their own things. Because I guess it's not cheap either.
Well, there's that, and I think some things get lost in all the noise.
Yeah, because everyone's announcing like major things at the same time.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I can understand it, but it just makes me a bit sad. Like we seem to be going away from us. Everyone's separated into their own thing. Right, shall we have the standard TV show chat?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, go on then.
So, The Last of Us cast has been revealed.
Oh, yes.
So, as Joel, it will be Pedro Pascal, who you may know from The Mandalorian.
I do.
And he was also in Game of Thrones as Oberyn Martell. I'm fine with that choice. I think he'd be good.
Yeah, I can see. I can see why they've chosen, because I think he has got that kind of range as an actor, to be a Joel-esque character. I think even just going off on The Mandalorian alone, he's got that kind of. He knows how to build a pretty good kind of father-sibling relationship in that show, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've got no arguments over his selection.
I think it'd be pretty good. Well, then it was also announced that Ellie will be played by Bella Ramsey, who played Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones. So, both Game of Thrones alumni. The internet weren't particularly happy about this choice, in typical internet fashion.
Yeah.
All I can do is shake my head.
I think people want the actors to look just like the people in the game.
This is what I don't understand. It's just like, are we just forgetting about acting ability here? It's just like, it looks like that person.
Yeah.
Choose them. I was saying that they were clamoring for Caitlin Dever to play Ellie, and she doesn't look like Ellie, so I don't really understand their logic.
I don't know who that is. I'm just gonna Google it.
What's she been in?
Leave No Trace film, I believe she was in. The thing is, she's 24 for a start, so
that's well.
I don't think
she can't play a 14-year-old.
I say that's old.
Girl.
I mean, there's plenty of mid-20 people who played teenagers in films.
Looking at it, I can see it. I can see her playing Ellie.
But for Joel, they were also clamouring for Nicolaj Coster-Waldau.
Yeah.
So you may know as Jaime Lannister.
Jaime Lannister.
Just what everyone from Game of Thrones in the series.
Yeah, just get everyone this from Game of Thrones.
But I was looking at the both of them, at what the internet was saying. I was like, actually, I could see them as other characters more. Nicolaj, I could see him more as Tommy. And Caitlin Dever, if she bulked up a bit, I think she could be a decent Abby.
Okay.
But it depends when this is set, doesn't it? So.
Well, I imagine it's going to.
So she probably wouldn't be in this anyway.
Events of the first game, so.
Or it could be in between the time skip, maybe. That'd be interesting. Maybe. Yeah.
Some people just aren't happy though. They're like.
Some people, yeah, that's it. Some people can never be happy. Yeah. I mean, I'm not outraged by it. I don't mind. As long as they do a good job and portray the characters to the best of their ability, and that's all I care about. As long as they tell a good story.
They've got good track record, HBO, haven't they? So, sure, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's not as if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
Well, last few seasons of Game of Thrones might beg to differ.
well, it depends
but
if you
But I'll not
ask.
say much about that.
Yeah, but hadn't the showrunners given up on by that point?
Well, no, yeah, showrunners. Well, they just wanted to get through the story as quick as possible, weren't they? They're like, we'll go over projects. Let's just end this in 4 episodes. Anyway, that's a rant for another time.
So, as you may know, we've had a Nintendo Direct recently. Because of this, we're going to give you a bonus episode just in regards to the Direct. So that'll be coming soon on YouTube and all the best podcast clients. So Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Just search Joking Dolphin and you'll be able to find it there. And keep a lookout on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then we'll give you the information as soon as it's ready.
Do you want some local news?
Local news for local people?
Yes. So this is from the Sheffield Star.
Ooh.
So, Sheffield mum issues warning after son spends £1,000 on addictive mobile game.
What was the game?
What?
So, a Sheffield mum has warned other parents of a mobile game addiction that has affected her son and resulted in costing her almost £1,000. Karen Littlewood, of Liverpool, said her 13-year-old was fixated on a popular mobile game, Roblox, for a few years, but his addiction worsened during the lockdown. The 36-year-old full-time mum said he doesn't speak to me about it, but he said he wanted people to like him. In total, he'd spent about £1,000 on Roblox in-app purchases. I tried to complain, but they kept bringing me to the other sides. I'd just like to tell parents out there, because during lockdown, it's just going to get worse as children are inside most of the time. He got so addicted, he wouldn't even look after himself anymore. He's lost a lot of weight as well. She said she was not notified of her son's shopping spree, as she only received the bills at the end of the month. I did not realise that the phone provider linked my card to the game. It's weird, there was no spending limit on the phone. He didn't even send me anything, no notification at all, she said, adding she has now banned her son from playing the game. I've also set a screen time limit on his phone and set his spending limit to 0, she said. Karen said her son is currently undergoing counselling to curb his online habits. He's understood that it's gone too far. He's allowed to use the phone, but he can't buy anything anymore. So the moral of the story is lock up your payment methods, parents. What are you doing? £1,000? Madness.
Well, I think Karen needs to pay more attention to what son's doing and stop letting him play that game for so long. Like,
I was say, how long was he on this game for?
A long time. Well, probably the entire period of lockdown, really.
The thing is, as well, though, did you say the game had linked to a credit card or debit card?
To a card, yes. There's your first problem.
What was it linked in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, she just said she didn't know it had been, so.
Well, she'd have to put her details in.
Yeah.
For it to be linked.
It says, I did not realise the phone provider linked my card to the game.
Phone provider won't link your card to the game. That's
compo face, that is.
Do you know what I can think about it? How that's happened is that if she's linked her card to
the Google account, maybe.
Google account, yeah. Like maybe she's bought something on an app and it's saved her details, and then.
But then
right.
It's normally really secure. So if, for example, I want to buy some coins on Pokemon Go, I've got to put my password in or thumbprint for it to authorize it to go through.
Well, son probably knows her passcode.
Or he's got a pair of her fingers in a drawer somewhere.
No, but it's his phone, I think. Not his mum's phone.
Right, so if it's his phone, why is it connected to her bank?
Someone's got to pay for it.
I think this is just a very expensive lesson to learn, unfortunately. Well,
she's now done the stuff that she should have done at the very beginning. Set a 0 limit and monitored his usage. That's what she should have done. She's his mom, and she should protect him. Like, and why is he trying to impress people by spending money on Roblox? Go out and get a girlfriend, you sad act.
We're in a pandemic. He can't go out.
Go on.
I'm in the same boat as him. Thanks.
Hot take from Nathan there.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have something more entertaining. So apparently, this is taken from BBC News.
Okay.
Pigs can play video games with their snouts. Scientists find. Pigs can play video games, scientists have found, after putting 4 fun-loving swine to the test. 4 pigs, Hamlet, Omelette, Ebony, and Ivory, were trained to use an arcade-style joystick to steer an on-screen cursor into walls.
Were they any good at it?
Researchers said the fact that the pigs understood the connection between the stick and the game is no small feat. And the pigs even continued playing when the food reward dispenser broke, apparently for the social contact.
Oh, they're addicted.
Yep.
Game addiction.
Usually.
They'll be on Roblox next.
Usually, the pigs would be given a food pellet for winning the game level, but during testing, it broke, and they kept clearing the game levels when encouraged by some of the researchers' kind words. This sort of study is important because, as with any sentient beings, how we interact with pigs and what we do to them impacts and matters to them. Lead author Dr. Candice Croney said. The research team also thought that the fact the pigs could play video games at all, since they are far-sighted animals with no hands or thumbs, was remarkable. But it was not easy for them. Out of the 2 Yorkshire pigs, Hamlet was better at the game than Omelette, but both struggled when it got harder, hitting the single target just under half the time. The Panpintur micro pigs, I don't know if you pronounce that right, had a bigger gamer skill gap. While Ivory was able to hit one wall target 76% of the time, Ebony could only do it 34% of the time.
Oh dear.
Get good.
Yeah, Ebony, come on.
But the researchers were still satisfied that the attempts were deliberate and focused rather than random, what they called above chance. That means that, to some extent, all acquired the association between the joystick and the cursor movement. Kate Daniels, from Willow Farm in Worcestershire, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme that while the scientists might have been impressed, I don't think this will come as a surprise to anyone that works with pigs. She added, they're not playing Minecraft, but that they can manipulate a situation to get a reward is no surprise at all. She paraphrased a quote often attributed to Winston Churchill. Dogs look up to you, cats look down on you, and pigs look you right in the eye. She added, when you look a pig right in the eye, you can tell there's intelligence there. Still, pigs are no match for humans when playing games, or even less intelligent primates. The same kind of experiment has been tried with chimpanzees and monkeys, who have the advantage of opposable thumbs, and were able to meet such higher requirements from researchers. The research paper was published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology. So there we have it. The pigs are taking over the game.
Right, this is going to be an esports subgenre.
We need to get them playing Hogs of War. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for them. Yeah. Yeah, well, I did read somewhere a few years ago now that pigs have got like the same intelligence level as like a golden retriever, and they're one of the cleverer dogs. So, yeah, it's not overly surprising. Yeah, it's interesting though that they've got a skill gap. That's quite it's quite funny.
Skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah. I was going to say something then, but I'm not going to say it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's yeah. The fact that they kept going after the reward system had broke as well. It reinforces that they actually, in some way, maybe enjoyed it. I know they were getting like the kind words from whoever was inducting the experiment, but they didn't have any physical need to do it. They just did it. Yeah. So at a really basic level, they enjoyed it. So.
Anyway. Anything else?
Have you guys ever heard of a game called 6 Days in Fallujah?
I've not, no.
Well, you may not have, because technically the game was cancelled back in 2009, but it's suddenly been... What was it, sorry?
Is this war-related?
It is war-related, yes. So the game's been... What was that, sorry?
I recognise Fallujah. I think there's a
Fallujah, yeah. So the game itself is being resurrected, apparently, by a company that's called Victura. And it's also been developed by Highwire, which is actually a game company that's made up of former Halo and Destiny devs. So, you know, I mean, at least maybe gameplay-wise it might be good. But the reason that it was dropped back in 2009 by Konami, of all companies, was that it got a lot of backlash for being... It's essentially it's an event in real life that happened in 2004 in the Iraqi war. I've not read much into what actually happened in it, but from what I can understand, a lot of US soldiers died during these 6 days. And the developers wanted to, at the time in 2009, kind of retell that event, similar to, you know, how we've got World War II video games, Vietnam, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the reason I got a lot of backlash back then, I think, was because the event was too soon to have happened for how they believed to glorify this obviously tragic event that happened back in 2004. And similarly now, it's getting pretty much kind of a similar backlash into, you know, why is this game being developed? You know, do we really need this kind of game? And I thought it was quite an interesting argument of, well, you know, how long does, you know, events like this and, you know, Vietnam and stuff like that, like, we've been making these type of games anyway that kind of glorify kind of what happened, especially on kind of the US side of stuff. You know, you always see Call of Duty seems to hyping up the American side of, oh, you know, this war's brilliant and whatnot and stuff. You know, like, I remember one specific scene in the original Black Ops, kind of at the end of the game, where you kind of finish it. I think you're in a submarine or something. You kind of come out and like all the American army's there and the flags waving perfectly in the wind and stuff like that. And I'm like, is it a just argument for this game to not be made compared to any other kind of war style games? Because like Call of Duty gets made every year and makes billions of dollars, and I know they try in their own way of showing you what the wars have been like, and it's not always glorified, is it? There is moments that are a bit controversial.
I think Battlefield 1 probably did it the best in terms of highlighting what what World War One was actually like in the trenches, because it was very like dirty and gritty. I don't. For me, there's no other game that I've played that's really highlighted the reality. Like definitely the first bit, you know, where you play as a player, you die, and then you're somebody else. It just
yeah. I think for in case at least World War One, I think Battlefield 1 did it the most respectful way, I suppose, if you can call it that kind of term. But just looking at like all the talk from like developers on this 6 days in Fallujah, they really want to kind of tell it from like the US Marine side of kind of just how hellacious those events were, and from reading the statement that they gave, which I wish I could go back and find it, I don't think they really want to kind of glorify and highlight the best of what happened during that. They clearly want to respect the reality, because they've gone and talked to like 100 US troops and Marines who were involved during that day, that event, and like get their feedback on what happened. How can they tell this story in a meaningful and
just a tasteful way?
Yeah. But it seems like the backlash kind of back in 2009, which may or may not have been correct, has kind of resurfaced and was, is it fair to jump on this game and say that it shouldn't be made compared to like everything that gets made anyway about Vietnam and World War II?
I think it might be timing, and it might be just how real the situation is, because when you play World War II, for example, it's just like a nondescript battle. It's not really real. But this is a real event. It's even now, it's 16, 17 years after the fact. And there could still be people living with the repercussions of what happened over those 6 days, mentally or without a family member. I think that's the difference. I mean, one thing they could do, is maybe donate some money to the families, just to try and, I know that it's not all about money and they've lost a loved one, but I think it'd be a nice touch, just to give something back, really, and to just maybe talk to the families as well, to say we're going to try and tell this story, but tell it right.
Yeah, that could be an idea.
But I can understand why it's got the backlash it has.
Yeah, I think back in 2009, I think I could understand it as being something that was just too soon, because it was literally just 5 years after the events. And I think at that point, I think the feedback or the negative criticism was justified. I'm just wondering, like, we've been much longer now. Is that criticism still valid, or I suppose I think it all depends on how they do the game, what direction to go with it, because I don't think there's any real gameplay or whatnot of it. Yeah, I think there was just a promotional trailer for it. But I suppose we'll see. I suppose we'll see how it goes and all the news that surrounds it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, how would I feel if somebody was making a game about an event where my dad died? How would I feel about that?
The thing is, you say this, but why do we seem to accept it when it comes to films? I don't know why.
Yeah. I think it's just because of the interactivity of it. So that's the stigma that always seems to come to gaming.
Or maybe because people just associate games with playing, like something like it's uplifting or something. Maybe people just associated it like playing games is just always a happy thing. And how do you make a happy thing of this occasion, which is not really what gaming actually is, if you don't understand it.
No,
gaming can cross many boundaries.
Yeah,
but, I don't know. I just find it a bit odd. I mean, I can understand it, but I also don't understand why we allow it in films. It's treat them equal. But...
Well, yeah. This is where gaming kind of needs to be, I think, at the moment. The kind of the next step of to see them as equal in storytelling aspects as stuff like movies and books.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, all you got to do is look at The Last of Us Part 2. You see how mature video games can be with their stories. So. Okay, so I've only got one last piece of news. Something a little bit more uplifting and maybe a bit peculiar. So there's a streamer who's known as Dylan Beck, or Rudism, as his handle seems to be. He's uploaded himself. He's uploaded a video of himself, I should say.
He's uploaded himself.
He's uploaded himself. He's
to the
downloaded
Matrix.
himself to the Matrix. He's uploaded a couple of videos of himself playing and beating the final boss of Hades using a interesting controller. I wonder if you guys could work out what he's actually used as a controller.
Is it
steering wheel?
Is it a Guitar Hero guitar?
Not Guitar Hero guitar, although he has got a video of himself playing Rocket League using a Guitar Hero controller.
Is it a Wii remote?
It's not a Wii remote, no. You need to think a little outside of the box on this one.
So he's not playing with something game related?
No. So it's a controller that, from my recollection, has never been made before.
How are we supposed to guess it then?
Well, you know, it's,
right.
I mean,
He's
converted
converted
fruity, so
right. He's converted an apple into a controller, and he's played with an apple.
no, it's not an apple. I mean, you're on the same lines. Do you want to just get to it?
Yeah, just put it out as a movie.
So he's managed to play and complete Hades using an actual pomegranate.
So it wasn't far off.
You weren't far off,
Pomegranate.
but he's used the seeds of a pomegranate to...
How does he even get to this idea? Oh yeah, I'll just play Hades and I'll play it with a pomegranate seed. Because that's just normal, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the power-ups in Hades is technically a
work?
pomegranate, so that's why it was related.
Right. Okay.
So how I need to show you like the image because I can't really make this justice. But he's essentially got like clumps of seeds together, kind of hooked up from a wire.
It looks
into this,
horrifying.
Oh, you got it up.
Yeah.
This might have to be maybe one of the images for the podcast potentially. But if you ever see it or you watch a video of it, I don't know how he pulls it off because he's got like clumps that are connected to one wire and they're all like one button.
Right.
But he's got no way of actually aiming using these controls.
The hell?
But he somehow managed to like complete Hades doing it. And I'm like, what the F?
It looks like something a serial killer would make.
Yeah, it just looks like he's cut somebody's spleen up or something. And
it's like a homemade like human organ control. It's so weird when I saw this story. I was just like, I can't complete it normally. Like, how are you doing it with a pomegranate? It's so weird.
I'm gobsmacked.
I mean, he's got if you find him on YouTube, he's got videos of like playing other games with like different controls and whatnot. It's not just like I think he completed something with like the Dance Dance Revolution map.
Completed Dark Souls with a banana.
Is that one of his?
No.
I thought it was actually like really. I'm a bit surprised. But yeah, no, just the man can do anything, and I can't complete games with no controls, so I'm very inferior to this man.
Well, on that bombshell.
I'm just going through his Twitter feed at the minute. Yeah.
Go through his YouTube if you can find one of his videos and links to his channel because he does all sorts. Like, I won't be surprised if he used like the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller to complete something. As much as that's like technically a practical control.
Oh my goodness, gaming chairs, but the chairs have got buttons and joysticks.
Oh, that's the ultimate controller, isn't it? Just sitting there.
You can't even sit on it.
What?
Right. Anyway,
Moving on. Does anyone have any other news, Anna?
Okay, we just got some little extras. So, Rainbow Six Quarantine looks like it's going to be renamed to Rainbow Six Parasite, according to some leaked promotional material. I'm guessing because of the current climate, that might be why they decided to step away from the quarantine. But because Parasite sounds so much better.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like, Parasite, that doesn't sound any better than Quarantine.
No.
Whenever I hear Parasite, I always think about the flood on Halo for some reason.
I don't think it's officially being announced, but it sounds like that's what it is.
You might as well call it Rainbow Six Pandemic.
Rainbow Six COVID.
Yeah.
Rainbow 19.
Rainbow 19 COVID.
EA executives, it looks like they're looking at whether to continue support for Anthem. Because let's be honest, Anthem died on its arse on its release.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to care about it.
That's a really... No, go on, sorry.
Well, it's just that little bit, because obviously they released it, it got a bad rap. Then I think over the past year, kind of like announced Anthem Next. That was like their thing. That's what they called it, where they like revamped the game. And it looks like they're going to be tossing that to the side now. But
Yeah, that can go.
Yeah, an official decision has not been made yet, but just kill it. Just kill it. Don't buy it other things.
To me, it just looks like a Destiny rip-off.
Oh, not to me. Like, I feel like Anthem, outside of Cyberpunk 2077, had like the biggest fall of grace for a game. Like when they first showed Anthem, I was absolutely really hyped for it. I thought it looked better than Destiny because it had the whole jetpack thing, being able to fly through, even going underwater. That looks incredible.
For a long period, the flying wasn't going to be in it.
Was it not?
Yeah, they kept mulling over. Apparently, there was like key members of the staff who didn't want it.
I thought it looked
they
amazing.
were like one of the big bigs who thought he liked it, and that's why they kept it. And the rest of the development team were a bit. Ugh.
Well, developers can be wrong sometimes.
Well,
the
rest of the game.
R.I.P. Anthem.
Rip Anthem. And one final thing. The Sonic the Hedgehog sequel.
Hey!
Imaginative titled Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's got a release date of April the 8th, 2022.
Let's
put that in your diary.
I like the little tease trailer for it because it had the music from Emerald Hills on, which is always a smile for me. So. Plus the logo with the two tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we got teased. I was going to say we got teased with the tails at the end of the last film.
Technically we did. We got teased
you're not
by
wrong.
Tails the miles per hour. Sorry, Tails miles per hour. That's it. That's his name.
Oh, did you guys see the Mortal Kombat trailer?
I did.
What did you think?
I was surprisingly shocked by how good it actually looked. Because like I remember the original films that are okay at best.
The rubbish.
Well,
Don't defend them.
Well, I thought this still had the same amount of cheese as the other ones. So. I did miss the theme tune there. Bring back the theme tune.
I had the theme tune. Did you not hear it?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, you know,
the proper one,
proper thumping one.
Well, the games have never had the theme tune. It's only ever been in the films.
I want that thing back.
All right, it was there in the trailer. I'm sure it'll come back at some point.
I can remember having the Mortal Kombat film on video and watching it quite a lot as a youngster. I think I was about 6 or 7, and I used to watch it quite frequently.
How'd you get away with that?
I don't know. I can always remember it's just someone got kicked into the spikes. I vividly remember that happening. And that scarred me for life.
That's coming. I gotta say, I don't think the Scorpion's get over here was as impactful as I thought it was going to be. It's not as good as the original. Sub-Zero looked pretty good, cooler actually. I like how they incorporated most of his moveset. Pretty brutal how Jack's got his arms ripped off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right, shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on.
What are we currently playing? Go on, Matt.
Well, I've not really been playing all that much, if I'm honest.
Oh, God. Call of Duty, right, go on, Nate.
Oh, well, no, I've some stuff. Calm down. So yes, I called you. So, well, last weekend they had a double XP weekend, so I could not play that. Although mostly just trying to do the zombie camos now, so trying to get all of them done. So if we go away from Call of Duty, I did pick up, out of saying that I wouldn't get another like kind of game that's meant to be for next gen, I did pick up FIFA 21.
One of us.
So yes, I've finally converted over.
And now we can delete it, can't we?
Yeah.
And we can delete FIFA 20.
Fantastic.
They're taking up 50 gigs for far too long.
Yeah.
Well, I had to delete Rocket League for keeping that.
When I first bought it, for some reason it said that the game was like 90 gigabytes. I'm like, that can't be right. Like that doesn't sound like FIFA. But then when I actually downloaded it, it was about 50. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I've had a little play around on that. I've mostly just been playing the pro clubs drop-in matches. Just so I can get an advantage on getting some stats up.
Making us look terrible in our games.
Yeah, that's it.
I do not look good at all.
It's going to make us look like noobs.
I'm not.
That's
I'm
it.
not good.
When we do the road to Division 1, we'll just be there with like a 76 rated new players, and he'll be there 84 rated or something.
No, everyone
doing
starts
rainbow
out,
flicks.
Everyone starts out at 80 rated. So, no, because as you know, when you start pro clubs over again, your pro's like terrible. He passes like he's from Sheffield FC or something.
Very diplomatic.
Sheffield FC like that.
Well, yeah, maybe a little bit harsh. Maybe, I don't know.
Sheffield Park Steels.
Trying to think, Metropolitan Police team or something. They always seem to be there in the first division qualifying rounds for the FA Cup. Yeah, so I just wanted to get a bit of stats up, but I've been mainly playing as goalkeeper just because I like playing as goalkeeper. Even though I've read that they've really nerfed the goalkeeper animations. So I'm starting to hate it now, where it's like balls coming in, they shoot. You've pressed the save button, at the right time. You pick the right direction, and then he kind of just flops, and the ball rolls past him. It's like, yeah, no, this is realistic.
Oh, I can't wait for us to play this then.
Well, I won't play
Please don't be a goalkeeper.
Apparently, I've been reading that like using the right sticks much better for saving shots now, which I can attest to. Like the goalkeeper actually tries to save the ball this time, so that's not too bad. I've not tried anything else on FIFA. I'd like to give career mode a go because they revamped the being a manager, haven't they? So now games, if you simulate the game, it plays out more like a football manager rather than just flashing the time by and not seeing what seems to be going on.
The one thing that I really like about that is you can do the simulation like a slow sim, so it passes time as if you were playing the game normally. And then if you're losing, you're like, right, I'm going to have to take this over. And then you can jump straight into the game, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can jump into the game so you can like take control if things aren't going right, which I might start doing that because whenever I've ever done a manager career mode on FIFA, I always simulate because I want it to be like an actual manager mode and not I'm controlling the players. I'd like to control the tactics. which never works.
I'd really like a game where you actually stand on the actual sidelines watching the game.
Yeah,
that's what I'd like.
That'd
In
be
like
cool.
a proper in proper 3D.
You could have it as like a VR add-on. Manage your VR add-on or something.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be great if like a ball gets blasted towards you, and you're like, oh,
it's getting knocked out.
And then you can get a red card and get sent to the stands.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, then, have a fight with the manager on the touchline.
Yeah.
Like, come on then.
And then you look to the left and see the faceless crowd member.
Nah, they're all just duplicated, aren't they? Just like doing the same default celebration.
But then you go and drop kick someone in from row.
No, you run into the pitch and take ball, don't you? You like score yourself. Like, I'm the 12th man. That's
it. Manager celebrations. You can just Cantona somebody into the stand.
Oh, you could be like Mourinho, couldn't you? You run down pitch and just slide on your tuxedo, bloody.
And then you end up smashing your coffee table up.
Boot a bottle.
Probably I did.
Yeah. Wait, Arsene Wenger that did that? No, it weren't Arsene.
What?
The booted that bottle.
That sounds like something that Arsene might have done. See if that was maybe Mourinho. Mourinho loves booting stuff. Yeah. So outside of those two, on PC, we've actually been playing a new game with a mate of mine that's called Codename Terra Nova. It's actually got a quite interesting concept where, one person is in like a series of train carts, and you have to play this co-op. You can't play it any other way. And the other person is playing outside the game. They're on like a web browser. They're on like a web page, where they're essentially like they're like the navigator, and the other person's like the agent, they call it. And what the agent has to do, he has to describe what kind of train car he's in. So it could be in like reception car, or it could be in a residential or relaxation, or it could be like a cockpit or cargo. There's different categories. And so what the operator has to do, he has to select that type of car, and then the agent has to describe what's in the room. So it could be like the car's got 4 windows, trash can at one end, advertisement board at the other, and the operator has to like find the exact match to be able to open the door for then the agent to go into the next cart. But each cart could suddenly have, say, like some sort of puzzle in it. So say like I don't know. Say it's got like a keypad or something. So the operator's got to select that, and then they've got to read out maybe say like a code or some sort of phrase or whatnot for then the operator, the agent to put in to the keypad to then go in. But there's all sorts of different puzzles and whatnot throughout each cart and different type. It's actually really really cool in the way that they do it. They're like, if the operator picks like the wrong cart, the agent loses time into which then to complete the level in effect. It really reminded me of that kind of like keep talking and nobody explodes, but just in a different concept.
So it's a sort of like an escape room kind of thing. Yeah,
you could say like that. It's a bit of like an escape room where one person, you know what, I just thought about it. It's kind of like Nightmare. I can't even come back to Nightmare. Nightmare keeps on coming up in these podcasts. It's a bit like Nightmare where like one person has to describe things to the other person, and then you do that one thing in the game, and then something else changes like on the website, and you've got to suddenly do something else.
Yeah, it's
really interesting. It'd be. I think it's currently in early access on PC. I don't think it's on consoles yet, but it'd definitely be worth it for like see you guys play or something.
Oh,
I think it is. Only
it does sound really good.
Play.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Yeah. Codename Terra Nova. Currently on early access.
might have to look for
Mm. Oh, it's really interesting concept, sure. So, right, that's me done. I could say probably. Go with you, Mark. See what you've been playing.
Oh, okay. So I've continued with my Hitman 3.
Okay.
But because I've been doing like trying to get mastery level on all the levels first, I'm only
Mhm.
halfway through. So I've done the first 3 levels. I don't want to really talk about the game much until I've completed it, because I'm sure
Okay.
I'll have plenty to say once I've done that. And then me and my brother, we started playing a new game.
Ooh,
Cool.
new game.
Yeah. So it's Journey to the Savage Planet.
That sounds familiar. Is this on? Is it PC or PlayStation?
And this
Imagine
one
PlayStation.
PS4, but I'm fairly sure it is on PC and all that. So basically, you play a intrepid traveler sent by a company on Earth to find a distant planet which could possibly be inhabitable for humans. So you've got to study the planet and discover if humans can colonize it, basically. So you can play this on your own, but you can also play co-op. So obviously I've been playing co-op with my brother. And basically you just go out, and it's sort of like, the only way I can describe it is it's sort of more entertaining No Man's Sky.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, it's got some good humour and that kind of thing. So basically, you just go out, you find these, you have to come across these weird creatures. They're either friendly or you get into fights with them. You harvest stuff. You fix your spacecraft. Only played a couple of hours of it, so not really in depth much about it. But it's good fun so far. So we'll see how that is. But one final game that I've played to completion, and that's a game called Superliminal. Have you heard of this?
No.
So Superliminal.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
Superliminal is a first-person puzzle game, which is all about forced perspective and optical illusions.
Oh, is this where, say, like you've got an object in the room that's like small or something, you can grab it and then pull away, and then suddenly it becomes like big?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's really quite an intriguing game. So it's like you basically start off in like a room. You go into this other room, and then you pick up. You go into a doorway. There's just like this massive chess piece, like just blocking the entire hallway. But then you just grab it, and it's like it's small in your hand, and then you just turn it. It's really quite. It's when you get into some of the later levels, it's a proper mind. It's really a bit crazy.
Excuse you.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't know really how to describe it. It's sort of the way I feel is sort of a cross between Portal and the Stanley Parable. I don't know if you played that, but that's what I thought it was like.
I haven't, but I can see the humor in it. It's very kind of dark.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've got this voiceover as well throughout the game, which is kind of leading you along, and you're wondering, is that good? Is that happy? Are they with you, or are they not with you? Or but the whole puzzle aspect is great. So like it's not overly difficult, but there's some moments that you like probably have to sit down and just think about. It's like this one's where there's a small piece of cheese, like, and then you've just got a doorway, like
up at the top, yeah.
It's just like, how on earth do I get up there? But the fact is, you've just got to try and get this piece of cheese to be massive by like dropping it high in the air, and then as it comes closer to you, it grows in size.
Ah, right.
And you keep doing that until obviously it's massive.
It's just a massive.
You can just walk up.
Turns into a massive ramp.
Yeah, and it's just things like that. But it's just in the last couple of levels, it proper gets mind bending. It gets proper like Inception like you're walking on walls and things like that. It's crazy. It does get really weird. But I would highly encourage you to play it. It's just one of the most unique games I've played in a long time. but that's what I've played. So go on, Nath. What you been doing?
What have I been doing? Okay. So I'll start with a game that I know you really enjoyed, Mark. So one of the first games I've been playing is Ghost of Tsushima.
Hey.
Finally got around to playing it.
How are you finding it?
I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'll just start off with a bit of a premise to the game. So it's set in the 13th century, and you play as a samurai called Jin. And at the start of the game, it's the Mongols that have invaded the island of Tsushima, and a fight ensues, and pretty much all of the samurais get decimated.
Yeah. It doesn't go well, does it?
No. One bit I did find funny, because they were like, right, send down your best warrior, and Genghis Khan's grandson just throws the throws the alcohol and sets him on fire. And honestly, I just laughed at that point.
Oh, spoilers!
It's not that bad. That's literally at the start of the game.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. As you go through, you kind of try and fight off the Mongol invaders, but your uncle gets captured, and then you go and try and rescue him, and you get your arse handed to you at this stage. So I was trying to fight Genghis Khan's grandson. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but I do know he's Genghis Khan's grandson. And I was thinking to myself, this is so difficult. How the heck can I beat him? Because I only took like a bit of his health off, and then I ended up getting thrown off a bridge. I was like, this is insane. Is that it? Am I just so bad at the game?
Failed.
Yeah, that's it. But it turns out that it's a redemption story in effect. So you survive the fall, and
it'd be a short game if you didn't.
Yeah. This critically acclaimed game that takes about 5-10 minutes. Anyway, so the Mongols have invaded the island. They've pretty much got the entire island locked down. At the start of it, I've got to try and escape this village with my new friend who's a thief, but she's all right. And I'll get into the gameplay aspect of it now. I mean, the controls are fantastic. I love all the fighting aspect of it. One of my favorite bits is the standoffs that you can do. So before you enter a settlement, you can choose whether to do a standoff. So you basically click up the up arrow, and that'll start the standoff. And you hold triangle, and then as they come to attack, you can click it again, and then that basically is an instant kill. You just slash through them. But then from that, if people are rushing you, you can choose to attack them as well. So you can get a few of them out of the way. Yeah. But I just think that's so cool. Yeah. That bit.
As you upgrade, you can increase the number of people you can take down in the standoff. So I think it's up to 5 people eventually.
Yeah. It's incredible. So I've probably played about 4 hours of it so far, but I'm just enjoying it so much. I mean, just all the different areas of the game, it's just so beautiful, and the music's fantastic as well. It's just such a nice it's a nice place to be. Even the wind aspect of it in finding where you need to be. So you've got a big map. For me, most of it's still grayed out because I've not been to certain areas yet. But you can put a marker on a certain location, and then you've got to follow the wind. I think that's quite nice.
I'm pushing the touchpad.
Yeah.
So if you need a bit of more direction, just give it a swipe. And then...
I'll be honest, I've not done that.
Have you not?
No.
Yeah. Oh. If you swipe on the touchpad, that will do the wind for you.
Fair enough. What I did is I just go to the map and then come out, and then at that point it tells me how far I am away from where I need to be, and then I'll kind of go in a certain direction, see if it goes down or up in terms of the thing. But good tip. So I'll definitely use that going forward. One thing I do like about it is that I get called Lord a lot, and it feels really good. I'm if anyone refers to me now, it's Lord Nathan.
Ego booster.
I've got a horse as well, So the horse that I chose was Kage because I'm into Naruto and the Hokage. Yeah. So yeah, I've got me and Kage against the world. Now, if I can compare Kage to Maxwell, my horse on Red Dead, Kage just blows Maxwell out of the water. Infinite stamina, for one, and well, that's all I need to know. And Kage is faster as well. So.
Have you done any one-on-one duels? Or have you not come across that yet?
I don't know. I've not come across that just yet. Okay. I've liberated some settlements. I've got a few people on my team now, so I've got an archer, a blacksmith, and a few other people that are going to help me on my journey. So yeah, but I'm still pretty early on in the game. From what I know, it's between 20 and 25 hours ish. So still quite a bit to go yet. I don't know what your experience of it is in completing it was.
Well, I did 100%, so probably took me about 30, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm just looking forward to playing it more.
I'm just liking it.
It's really good. It's past the 1 hour test, so it gripped me after an hour. So I'm not gonna sell it. Right. So another game that I played. This was last week now, and I played it to completion. Was A Plague Tale: Innocence. So this is a game that I've been wanting to play for a while, but I've just got around to doing it. But I was so happy with it. So the premise of this game is it's set in 14th century France, and it tells the story of two people are the main characters. So you've got Amicia and Hugo. So they're a brother and sister. And at the start of the game, your town gets raided by the Inquisition because they're looking for your brother. Now, for one reason or another, you've not had much contact with your brother. So it's kind of a story of them both learning about each other and coming together as in that brother and sister dynamic. But what we don't know at the time is that Hugo, the brother, has got something in his blood called the macula, and you learn a bit more about what that is and what that entails as you're carrying on in the game. So early on in the game, the main antagonist is the rats. So it's basically a horde of rats, and if there's no light source, the rats will just kill you. They'll swarm you and eat you, and that's it. So it is. So there's three main aspects to the game. So there's puzzle elements, there's combat, and there's stealth. Because when your town gets raided, you kind of have to escape. Your dad gets killed, your mum gets killed, so your orphan's on the run, and you've got to try and get around the Inquisition. You've got to try and stay away from these rats. And it's a really it's not a fun game. It's very dark. There's some elements in there that you don't like doing. So, for example, I'll just cite this one thing that we had to do. So you had to get through this barn, and in order to get through, you had to draw the rats away. So you had to take a bag of grain, pull it into the barn, so it lured a pig into the barn, and then the rats would eat the pig to give you room to get through the barn. So there's just things like that. I mean, the puzzles aren't massively complex, but some of them will have you scratch your head for a bit, but you can be in cover, and then that'll give you the opportunity to think, right, I need to get to this point. How do I do it? So as you go, excuse me. So as you go through the game, you learn how to do alchemy. So you can make fire. You can make these ice things that will put fire out. So you use them to create light to force the rats into certain areas, and then lure people in, and then turn the light out, and then they'll swarm the Inquisition, so you can kind of get away. So yeah, I don't want to go too much into the story side of it, but in terms of the gameplay, you always feel like you're never really safe, which is quite interesting. And as you go through, there is quite a heavy story involved, and you meet people that help you, and you find out why people are after your brother, to get his blood in effect. But yeah, it's the story itself is like between 10 and 12 hours, and yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a good story-driven game that goes into a relationship between the brother and sister, with horror elements and puzzle, then yeah, definitely go for it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. So yeah, that's that one. And that's all I've been playing. So I played through A Plague Tale, and then after that I got straight on to Ghost of Tsushima, and that's it. That's all I've been playing.
Okay, shall we move on to the video game Hall of Fame?
Let's do it.
Yes, let's.
So this is where I take an in-depth look at a game of high quality or historical importance and induct it into our pantheon of games we feel deserves special recognition. Our inductee in this episode was first released in 2013 for the Windows PC and Mac OS. Designed and programmed by Lucas Pope and developed and published through his production company 3909 LLC, it's Papers, Please.
Glory to Arstotzka.
Indeed. So, how do you describe Papers, Please to someone who's never heard of it? So basically, you play a guy who's won a lottery to be given a role by the Ministry of Admission at the Grestin border checkpoint of the fictional state of Arstotzka. And the country has recently had a recent war with the neighbouring country Fallujah. Now this border checkpoint between east and west Grestin has been made up, and you've been given this job to work at the border. And so, in terms of gameplay loop, the way you describe this, it makes it sound boring, but it's not. So basically, you have to study documents given to you by people trying to get into the country. And then you've got to find discrepancies and decide whether to let them in or not, or even detain them. Well, there's a lot more to this game than actual just that is in there.
Yeah,
you just say that that to someone, and they instantly go, "What? Why would you?"
On the face of it, it does sound quite rubbish. I mean, you got to take into account the other side of it. Is like when you finish your day, you get your money that you got to allocate. So you've got a family to look after as well. So you've got a wife, a child, uncle, and mother-in-law. Now, I will say this: the uncle is a leech. What's he doing living with you? Like. So if your family's cold or your kid needs some medicine, for example, why can't you get his own job?
The uncle.
I got mother-in-law.
Well, there's that as well. Why can't they get their own job?
Why can't the son?
Get brother.
Why can't the child?
Son can work. Yeah.
Slave labour.
Exactly. Forced labour.
Anyway, but yeah, as you said, Mark, there is more to it than that. So there's basically, as you go through, you get a certain amount of money depending on how well you've done that day, and you've got to allocate that. So it can go to heat, food, medicine.
Yeah. So for each person you process, you get 5 credits, and then obviously you can get things wrong. So if you incorrectly process someone, you get 2 violations a day for free. So you don't get any punishments for them. But if any beyond that, you get docked 5 credits from the end of day pay. And it's always like a rush against time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
So are you like me? It's like when you start each day, do you like set everything up in your little booth?
Oh yeah.
I have everything laid out in a specific way as to where everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have like the manual to the left. And then I'll have my stamp to the right already opened up, and when I pull the passport in, I'll just put that to the right hand side. Any other documentation goes in the middle for me to check, and yeah, off I go.
Yeah. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to study the rule book, and you've got to like mark out discrepancies. So it might be date of birth might be wrong from one document to another. The height might differentiate.
Yeah, age, sex.
But the first time I ever played it, the one that threw me, that I always seem to get wrong, because I didn't it never. There's some mechanics in it that it doesn't explain to you that well. And one for me was the fingerprint.
Yeah.
I get that one wrong as well quite often.
I've worked it out now because I was trying to find an excuse to play this game again, and this gave me the perfect excuse. So yesterday I played it all, like I completed it yesterday again.
Oh wow.
But yeah, you have to like give them a slip. They put the fingerprints on it, but then it prints out one that you've got of like cross references it. But I always forgot. I never realised that I was supposed to grab that piece of paper back from the person. That's it. And then you're supposed to compare them. And then obviously there's like different names on it and things like that. So it always confused me that.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the reason why you need the fingerprints is because then their name on their passport is different to one on like the reason for why they're coming or something like that.
Yeah.
So then you discrepancy that they'll be like, oh, I've got different names. So then you're like, all right, is fingerprints, and they'll come through like the different aliases, yeah. And if they've not got different aliases, well, I've actually worked out because I was watching a Let's Play on it last night. Is that even if they don't have different aliases, you have to also compare the non-alias to like the other name list on the document. You have to like, well, you've not actually got different aliases. I always fell down there that like once I got the fingerprints, I was like, okay, they've got no other aliases. I'll let them through, and then they're like, oh, actually, you didn't check if that was correct or not anyway. I was like, but it says no over alias.
So basically what happens obviously is that throughout the game, so you've got 31 days, I believe it is, of your job.
Gameplay.
Yeah. And progressively over the time, things get more complicated, more rules get enforced.
Oh,
you have to study board documents, so you've got like things like, so obviously you've always got your passport to begin with, really. That's like the key one. Then you've got ID cards, work permits. Eventually you get like a vaccine form. And you've got to study all these things.
Yeah.
And just make sure everything correlates together. It took quite a bit of brain.
So much stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like I've just spent all day working. I don't want to do this again.
It's like maybe like one letter spelt wrong in the name or something.
Oh, that always catches me out. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Or like the ID number on the passport or something like that.
Yeah. The one thing that threw me off earlier on in the game is like the picture, because I'd be checking all the other information and then it'd be like, oh, the picture's wrong. I'm like, damn it.
Oh yeah, they don't look like the photo and stuff.
Yeah.
I always sometimes got the sex wrong because like I'll be flying through, I'll be like, right, there looks fine, name, okay, that's fine. Right, right region, okay, that looks fine. You're ready for how long? What's your purpose? Okay. And I'll look at the photo. Yeah, you love that person. All right, go on. Oh, actually, they were female. What?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Did you just assume that person's gender?
Well, I said it was male in the passport, but they went through as female. I was like, okay.
It just raises interesting things about it's like moral things, though, isn't it? Because obviously, in that instance, if you challenge that, say right, then it takes you do the photograph thing, don't you?
They have to do like the scan thing. They have to like take photos.
And then you've just got a nude photograph of someone.
Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. And there's recurring characters throughout the game as well, isn't there? I mean, we all love Georgia Kostov.
Ah, he's such a nice man,
Georgia. Yeah. So
I feel bad for him. Like I don't want to decline him. Like one day I'm just like, yeah, I'll just go through. I've seen you before.
Yeah. It's like every time he's always got something strapped onto him or something, like trying to carry some sort of contraband into the country.
Yeah.
But then he tries to help you out later on in the game.
Should hope so.
Oh, does he? See, this is one of the games that I regret not completing because I think I've only gone so far as.
Completely. Well, there's 20 endings.
I saw that. I saw the video as well. I was like, Jesus, how many endings is there? But a lot of them are like fairly similar, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them is just you getting arrested.
I think there's only 4 not done, I think.
4?
I think so.
So there was I like the ethical aspects of the day's work. So, for example, you could let somebody through that's going to run a club that hosts ladies of the night, let's say. But another lady could come through and say, if you let me through, I'll be enslaved.
Yeah.
And then there's a question there as to what you do, because that man's probably got the right documentation. So do you let him through and get the 5 credits so you can pay for your kids' medicine? Or do you let her through? Or do you decline him and let your kid potentially die or whatever? So I think they were really interesting moments in the game as to what you do.
There are some really interesting moral decisions along the way. It's like I always remember the one about the husband and wife. So the husband comes up to the checkpoint first.
Yeah.
He's got the right documentation.
Yeah, I remember this. This couple. Yeah.
So he's checking through.
Was this fairly early on? This one.
Roughly, probably maybe the 8th, 9th day or so. I think I recall. They always appear pretty early.
There's certain days where there's scripted ones, and then all the rest are like filler. But yeah, so yeah, the husband's coming along. He's got all the correct documentation, and then he's like, "Oh, but my wife's behind me. No, please let her through." And then obviously, inevitably, she's got documentation.
Wrong, yeah.
She's got things wrong. So what do you do? Do you let her through? Do you have a heart, or do you reject it, or do you stand your ground?
They're the questions.
Did you do?
I sent a pack in.
That doesn't surprise me, Nathan. But
I'm paid to do a job.
I admit in my playthrough yesterday, I did reject it. But
I think I might let through. I was like, well,
on my first playthrough, I let.
Because like they're escaping on there. It's like, oh, if you don't let them through, they're gonna die and stuff. I was like, okay, go on. I've not had a citation yet, so I could take one for the team.
Take the hit. Yeah.
I'll take one for the team. Yeah.
And then there's other ones where one of the guards come up to you and says, "Oh, I met this beautiful girl called Eliza," and he gives you like a little pendant, with a picture on it, and it's just like, "Oh, will you please let her through?" And you know where this is going. Inevitably, she didn't have the paperwork, but it's like, do you let her through or not? Or
I don't think I got that far. You said no.
Yeah.
You're not a team player, are you?
I like early on when you get a voucher for like this club, this pink voucher, so you can go and see the girls and stuff. I'm like, excuse me, I'm a happily married man with a sick kid at home.
Yeah. Some of the people just do give you random stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Like random crap. Like, it's the one where they just like, what? It's like, is there a sports player or something, like a football player, or?
Oh yeah.
It just gives you like this weird pendant thing.
No, it gives you this thing that you can hang up on the wall. It's like, yeah, we're #1 team. I was like, well, but you not got right documentation. It's like,
they call the Arstotzka arse kickers or something like that. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
But then if you hang that up on the wall, and then one of the like the head guard blokes come along, it's like, what is this crap on the wall? Take it down now.
Oops.
And he just randomly gives you like plaques to put up. It's like adequate service.
Oh, I didn't know about this because I had not gone this far. That like the guy can come in who's like, oh, you've had. So on this playthrough, I was watching the this guy was like, oh, you've had 7 citations.
7 citations, yeah.
You had like the plaque of for like sufficiency or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah. Like you're sufficient. Like, oh, cheers.
You can also get involved in like the political aspects of this, can't you? Because you can get involved with the EZIC.
Yeah, EZIC. EZIC.
So they're like a group who are trying to uprise against the government.
Arstotzka.
They give you
Very
weird. They give you like these weird code deciphering items.
Yeah.
So you overlay it on another thing, and it tells you like the name of a. So in the spaces of it, it'll tell you like the name of an entrant into the country, and he's like,
an immigrant.
Please let this person through. But sometimes it might not happen on that day. That's the thing.
Oh, so he got to
remember
it.
Sometimes he says he'll come in like the next few days.
Yeah. And then when it comes to that point, you end up forgetting. Which I guess is all part of the game, isn't it? It's a memory test as
It's
well.
funny. Well, they'll always have incorrect documentation, won't they? I think that's the thing that gives it away. I think. At least what I saw on the playthrough, anyway. I think.
I can't remember, but
it might be the playthrough that I was watching. The guy declined someone because he had incorrect documentation. And like the next day, the bloke with I suppose the sun for the face comes and gives you you've declined one of our guys, and he was like, oh, I didn't know. He didn't realize he'd declined him.
One of the endings I quite like is so this easy bloke comes along and he's like, there's a spy coming into the country or something like that. Give this to him. And he just chucks it on your desk, and it's actually you turn it over and you open it up and it's just like a bunch of powder. And underneath it says, "Do not touch the powder." Okay. Inevitably, me being me, touch the powder. I just die. That's it. That's the ending. Because he was meant to poison this person.
You should have done as you're told.
Yeah, but so that was one ending gone. But
maybe at a deeper level, if you'd done as you're told to begin with, you wouldn't have been put in that position.
No, probably not. No, but it was meant for someone else. It wasn't meant for me. I was supposed to pass it on to someone, but I just couldn't resist the urge.
Yeah.
It said, "Do not." It's like seeing the big red button in an airplane.
Do not push. Yeah.
Push it. That's what happens.
Plane goes into a tailspin, free dive. Seeing as you've completed it, what was one of your favorite endings? Oh, actually, what was one of the first endings you got?
I can't remember any. All of them. Usually, most of them involved with getting arrested. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was watching a video that's got all of them. It's just like
because basically on the final day you get audited about your activity.
Yeah.
So if you've been working alongside this easy group, then you'll get your comeuppance. Basically, it's usually sent to hard labour, that kind of thing. Your family gets, and then your families they get kidnapped or something. I don't know, but it's just like things don't end up well.
No, I think. Oh, what was it? Because
I remember in my first game, I think all my family died. I think I can.
Oh, that's good. So you got put into forced labor.
No, I think it's because I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to keep up all the payments, haven't you? So like 25 credits is always taken out for heat. For rent.
Rent, yeah.
And then you've got to have heat, food, and then there's the medicines, isn't there?
Yeah, if someone's sick, you can do medicine.
Yeah. But I found that you can alternate between heat and food. You don't need to pay them every day.
Oh, okay.
No, I worked that out through the playthrough. So I always just paid it. I was like, well, my family needs it. So.
But later on in the game, I got quite rich because you get to a point where, well, not rich. I mean, in terms of that, like
balling.
It's like $100 in that game.
I can buy all the medicine that I want. Way.
Buy all the food.
But it gets to a point where, like, one of the guards will give you extra money if you detain people.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like for every 2 people you detain, they'll give you 5 credits.
Did you ever work out if the detain people also counts as processed. Like people? Yeah, be processed.
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's still. Assuming it's a correct.
Well, at the very least, you get that kickback.
Yeah, but if you detain 2 people but they didn't count, you only get 5 credits when you should have got like 10. So it kind of works against you for detaining people. But I don't know if that's how it works. I don't think it does.
It's just because before that point of before that guard comes to you and says that to you, obviously you're going to get money for processing that person. Right?
Yeah, whether you've declined them or accepted them, you get money for.
Yeah. Either way, as long as that person's done.
Okay. Yeah, no, that probably makes sense for people that get detained as well. That you still get that money for technically processing.
Is it just me that after you've processed every person, does your heart skip a beat waiting for that?
Yeah.
Bottom of the screen.
All the time.
Just waiting for that long enough for it to be.
Yeah, I'm just there going, please don't. And then suddenly it just pops up. Oh, no, got it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I like how it tells you what you got wrong, because you always kick yourself. You're like, oh, I should have checked that. I should have known.
It's usually something really simple, isn't it?
Yeah, like, oh.
Like the photo was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Looks nothing like
Or
first.
probably like the city as well, from like the location they're from. Sometimes.
Yeah, that is one that can often be overlooked, I think. The issuing city. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all about just being vigilant, isn't it? And yeah, I mean, it's quite a therapeutic game, apart from all the stress of your family dying. But like the gameplay itself, like checking all the documents off and doing your comparisons, is quite nice. I think
It's
in a strange way.
It's right. I love it. I love Paper Mario. Did you like the bit where you get to use a gun?
I didn't get that far.
I've not got that far with it either.
So occasionally people jump over the wall and that kind of thing, and there's terrorist attacks.
Yeah, I saw this on the playthrough. I was like, "What? You get a gun?"
Yeah, you get a key that opens a specific drawer that has a gun in it. Now you can have either a tranquilizer gun or
like a sniper rifle.
And then basically you just try and pop them, and you get extra cash if you manage to take them out.
Sweet.
Do you get more for tranquilizing them? Or is it more for?
No. I don't know, to be quite honest.
Okay.
In my playthrough yesterday, I only did tranquilizer, and I got 20 credits bonus for doing that.
Oh, nice.
Which is a fair whack of money in that game. It's worth doing.
Definitely.
I wish I got that far. So that looks kind of cool, being able to like shoot people and making a run for it. Something else as well, because like obviously throughout each day when you finish it, you get a total of like, here's your salary, here's the rent that's come out of it, here's food and stuff like that. And it was pretty cool that like after every so days, you can upgrade your booth with that money as well. So like you can get stuff like the stamp is the stamps are on a short key, which is nice.
Like a tab button.
Yeah, so I think there was that.
You get the discrepancy that comes up for pressing the space bar.
Yeah, so that comes up as well. So it's a little quicker. Then there's one for the rule book as well. So they're on like
puts tabs on it.
Puts tabs on it so you can flick through the pages quicker.
That's useful.
The one thing I didn't know when I was watching this playthrough is you can upgrade the living quarters that your family's in. So you can go from like a class, I think it's 7, A7 or something like that.
It starts at 8, but yeah.
Starts at 8, sorry.
Yeah.
So you can upgrade to class, but I don't know what does that upgrade be able to do for your family?
I don't know because I never did it because I don't see the point of it. It seemed like wasting money to me.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have known it because I think when I was watching the playthrough, they didn't quite know either whether. Oh no, I know it's not.
That's the thing. So
I imagine it's probably that it costs less to heat, maybe something like that. But again, I'm not sure.
The rent goes up 5, but I think the food stayed the same. But they reckon there might be something to do like the medicine, because obviously, like sometimes your son gets sick quite. So it always seems to be the son gets sick all the time.
Yeah.
But he gets sick quite often. But they were saying maybe upgrading in class makes them not get sick as much. But I couldn't confirm.
Maybe there must be some reason for it, but I just never did it.
Yeah, I have to find out.
I didn't have the money to ever do it. I was working on breadcrumbs.
Funnily enough, I've just gone onto the game now, and it asked me to continue, and this is the screen that I've got. My family's been sent back to the
village. You've been arrested. Please continue. Arrest him immediately.
You were under arrest until your debts are repaid.
Oh, you ran out of money.
Yeah, that's it. Right, this is what I don't like. A replacement inspector will be found easily. It's like, come on, I don't grow on trees. Well, apparently so.
Well, I mean, you want to buy a lottery, so they'll just have another lottery.
Just have another,
another lottery.
Labour now until you pay your debts back.
I wish I could have declined the job. Like after 3 days, I get sent to jail and my family go back to the village. Awful.
Don't forget glory to Arstotzka.
Oh yeah, that too. As the resentment grows towards your motherland.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is.
Glory to Arstotzka.
Have either of you seen the short film?
I've not known.
No, but I know about it, yeah.
It's really good. There's not much else I can say about it. But it takes like certain bits in the game and just makes a live action version of it. But I would encourage you to watch it. It's really good. And there's also like a small making of it as well.
Does it have George in it?
Put the subtitles on it first. Though. Does it have Georgie on it? Yeah. There's a reference to it.
Oh.
Wait, does it appear physically?
Oh, it's about 10 minutes long. It looks pretty cool.
So there we are. Papers, Please into the Video Game Hall of Fame. If you enjoyed listening to us, please consider tuning in next time. We release bi-weekly on Tuesdays. You can visit our website at jokingdolphin.com, where we post blogs on the Hall of Fame. Also, feel free to follow us on all social media platforms to continue the conversation. You can find Joking Dolphin on Facebook, as well as on Instagram and Twitter at Joking Dolphin. We're also on YouTube, where we post this very podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening. Glory to Arstotzka.
Glory to Arstotzka.
Bye.